I did a poll asking you guys if you wanted to see a video on Child's Play 2 or Wishmaster, and Wishmaster won at 59%. That being said, I will still be doing a video on Child's Play 2 next weekend. I thought I actually had Wishmaster on DVD, but turns out I didn't, so I had to spend most of my weekend tracking down a copy of this thing just so I could make this video. And damn was it hard to find. I haven't seen this movie in a while, but honestly, I'm glad I got the chance to rewatch it. This thing is like the horror genre's Super Bowl halftime show. It's a giant bloody reunion of everyone who ever scared the crap out of people in the 80s or 90s. We're talking Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger himself, Kane Hodder, the man who literally played Jason Voorhees, Tony Todd the Candyman, Reggie Bannister from Phantasm, Ted Raimi pops in for a cameo, Tom Savini shows up in a scene. Vern Troyer is literally in this movie as a proto-mini Djinn. That's just scratching the surface. And of course, Andrew Divoff as the Djinn gives one of the craziest villain performances. He's genuinely menacing, whether he's in full makeup or not. Even Joseph Pilato from Day of the Dead pops up. It's like the filmmakers just grabbed every horror icon they could find and shoved them all into one movie. And all of it is wrapped around this insane concept of a Djinn, some ancient demonic monster that grants you twisted wishes. You want money? A whole pallet drops out of the sky and crushes you. You ask for power? You might get electrocuted on the spot. This Djinn doesn't just kill people. He makes it ironic, theatrical, and mean. So if you've never seen Wishmaster, just know it's not just a movie. It's an evil little time capsule packed with some of the most legendary faces in horror history, all gleefully showing up to suffer horrible and creative deaths. And let's be honest here, that's why it's so awesome and totally worth a watch. I'll drop some links in the description so you can rent or buy the movie yourself. If you're impressed by Wes Craven's name being attached, yeah, well, he had basically nothing to do with this movie. They pretty much just got permission to slap his name on the poster as a marketing ploy. Unfortunately, Wishmaster is plagued by the law of diminishing returns. The first movie is widely considered the best of the entire franchise, so sit back, relax, and let me recap the story of what is essentially the horror version of The Expendables. Our story starts in ancient Persia in the year 1127 AD. A powerful creature known as a Djinn confronts a Persian emperor. The Djinn tempts the ruler to make wishes, twisting each one into horrifying results. At the emperor's request to see wonders, the Djinn unleashes grotesque horrors across the palace. People's skeletons rip out of their bodies, others fuse into monstrosities. A living snake made of flesh slithers across marble floors. As the emperor recoils in terror, the Djinn urges him to make a third wish to set things right, knowing that if the ruler makes that final wish, the barrier between the Djinn's realm and the human world will collapse, releasing an army of Djinn. Before that can happen, the wizard Zoroaster interrupts, wielding a mystical fire opal. He traps the Djinn inside the gemstone, condemning him to wait centuries before someone sets him free again. The film shifts to the present day, in a modern American shipping port. A wealthy collector named Raymond Beaumont is importing a large statue of Ahura Mazda. During unloading, a crane operator named Mickey Torelli is drunk and mishandles the crate. The statue breaks and crushes Beaumont's assistant Ed Finney, killing him instantly. Amidst the rubble lies the fire opal, uncovered and undamaged. A dock worker cleaning up secretly pockets the gem. Days later, the worker sells it to a local pawn shop. The gem makes its way to a high-end auction house called Regal Auctioneers, where it's assigned to a gemologist named Alexandra Alex Amberson. Alex begins analyzing the opal in her lab. As she examines it under magnification, the gem glows and pulses in an eerie way. She feels unsettled and decides to have her colleague Josh Aikman run more advanced tests. Josh subjects the stone to intense laser light. As he does, the gem violently reacts, ruptures, and explodes. Out of the shattered gemstone emerges the Djinn in a burst of energy and smoke. The lab is destroyed in the blast, and Josh is left mortally wounded beneath rubble. Josh, delirious and in pain, makes a desperate wish to no longer feel pain. The Djinn grants the wish by killing Josh instantly, his suffering ending in death. The Djinn, like a Mario brother who just ate shrooms, can begin the process of growing and stretching. The sequence is intercut, with Alex seemingly feeling a psychic connection with the Djinn. When the Djinn finally shows up in his full monster form, you'd think that was a puppet or some quick suit they slapped on. But no, that costume weighed about 60 pounds, and Andrew Divoff was basically being slow roasted inside of it. Breathing felt like sucking air through a rubber mask, and the fumes from the latex actually made him nauseous. The production crew had to cut shooting into small chunks because he was drenched in sweat after every take. He also had to wear these sharp prosthetic teeth, 3 different sets depending on how much dialogue he had. The teeth were so sharp they actually sliced the inside of his mouth. In between takes, he'd stuff cotton in his cheeks and drink milkshakes through a straw just to keep from bleeding all over the suit. He legit could not eat solid food until they were done filming. Divoff said the suit almost made him pass out a few times because he could barely breathe. They had people off screen with fans and water bottles waiting every time they yelled cut. He still says it's one of the most uncomfortable costumes he's ever worn, and this man acted in Lost, Air Force One, and all kinds of survival horror roles, so this dude was used to suffering. After the transformation, the Djinn looks like a rated R version of Ivan Ooze. Alex arrives later and is devastated by Josh's death, believing it was just an accident. The Djinn, now free, searches for people willing to pay for a wish with their soul. He grants a wish to a homeless man who angrily says he wishes the rude pharmacist he's arguing with would get cancer and die. The Djinn obliges, and the pharmacist grotesquely develops tumors and collapses dead. The homeless man is terrified that his wish actually came true. He runs in fear, but hey, free cigarette. Next is an extended, boring sequence of Alex talking with whoever this person is. To be honest, I kinda started drifting attention-wise during this exhibition dump. This scene is proof positive a writer likely got coked up and wanted to write a novel of dialogue for Alex here. As if anyone actually cares about anything other than the gross and gory parts. Troubled by growing nightmares and hallucinations, she starts investigating. She contacts Beaumont to track the gem's origins, and learns it came from Persia. Meanwhile, the Djinn sneaks into a medical school with the plan of finding himself a brand new Edgar suit. I think very few of you will understand that reference. A medical student walks in mid-shopping spree. The Djinn asks the student to make a wish. Terrified, the med student wishes to no longer see the Djinn. Then, he feels like me, every time I have to watch another overly angsty vampire drama show with my wife. The Djinn, now more powerful after crudely granting another wish, puts on his new skin suit. He adopts the name Nathaniel Demarest. Alex again has a psychic conniption fit. She falls to the floor and screams. Raymond, thinking this is a totally normal thing for a woman in her 30s to be doing, helps her to her feet. The conversation continues as if she didn't just go completely schizo for seemingly no reason. She visits a folklore professor named Wendy Derleth who explains the legend of the Djinn. They grant 3 wishes to the person who awakens them, but after the 3rd wish, the Djinn's entire race will invade Earth. Alex realizes the Djinn needs her specifically to make 3 wishes so he can unleash his kind. The Djinn walks the streets, collecting souls by corrupting casual wishes. He visits a boutique where a store clerk named Ariella expresses a desire for eternal beauty. It's wild because when the Djinn disguises himself as that creepy, classy-looking human, he actually appears super confident, calm, even sort of elegant. But in real life, Andrew Divoff, the actor playing him, was way more shy and reserved. He literally said he felt more comfortable and confident in full demon makeup than he did walking around as a smooth-talking human villain in a nice suit. He admitted the human scenes were harder for him to perform because he's not like that in real life. He's just actually a thoughtful, quiet guy who didn't really identify with the suave persona, which is funny because the Djinn is supposed to seem collected and manipulative in that form, and Divoff had to basically fake it to make it the whole time. In contrast, once they put him in the full monster suit with the fangs and red eyes, he said he felt more free to act, like he could unleash all the theatrical evil without holding back. It was one of the only reasons he loved being in full makeup, even though it made him physically miserable. He even told interviewers that playing the Djinn demon was honestly easier for him because he could hide behind the creature. That contrast is what makes this role work so well. Divoff plays the human disguise like a polite demon trying to fit in, and it's unnerving because you can feel something is off. It's that kind of subtle, eerie politeness that only works when the actor himself is genuinely uncomfortable And as I said before, the best bad guys are played by good guys. Divoff's a genuinely decent, soft-spoken dude, and that's exactly why he was able to channel something way darker and colder when he put that costume on. There is a difference between the full body suit and just the head and arm effect. When he was in a robe, it was more freeing and comfortable, aside from the sharp teeth, that is. He grants it by turning her into a wax mannequin, freezing her in a twisted form of perfection. Meanwhile, Alex experiences strange visions tied to each death caused by the Djinn. The Djinn continues tracking people connected to the gem. Lieutenant Nathanson, a detective investigating Josh's death, is confronted by the Djinn, who asks what he desired. Nathanson sarcastically mutters that he wishes for evidence to solve all his cases. Instantly, a suspect in custody goes berserk, grabs a gun, and starts killing officers, creating a violent scene that ironically gives Nathanson all the evidence of crime he could ever want. The Djinn uses the distraction to gather a card from the detective's desk, giving him the address to the auction house in Alex's name. Elsewhere, he visits Nick Merritt at the auction house, but a security guard refuses him entry. After a small back and forth, the Djinn asks the guard to make a wish. The guard asks him again to leave. The Djinn begins to walk away, but the guard makes the common mistake of talking crap at the last moment, saying he would need to walk through him, and that is something he would love to see. That's all the Djinn needs to turn him into glass, before walking right through him, shattering him and the door into pieces. And since Kane isn't playing Jason in this movie, there's no coming back from that. The Djinn strolls in casually and takes a seat. Nick is caught off guard but strikes up a conversation. The Djinn asks him to make a wish. Nick half-jokingly says he'd like $1 million. The Djinn bends this wish by arranging for Nick's mother to sign a new life insurance policy and then die in a horrific plane crash, resulting in Nick receiving the payout. Alex returns to visit Wendy Derleth again for more guidance, only to find that the Djinn pulled a T-1000 and has mimicked her. The Djinn reveals he replaced Wendy's corpse to trick her. He finally appears directly to Alex and offers her 3 wishes. She is terrified and refuses. He says she is entitled to a free wish to test him. Terrified, she uses her test wish to, how can I say this on YouTube? Uses his Second Amendment rights to clear his thoughts. Uses a wireless hole puncher to ventilate his skull attic. He calmly fulfills her wish and pops the top of his soda pop, but as an immortal being, he simply heals instantly and laughs, proving she can't destroy him so easily. Later, Alex uses her first official wish. She says she wants to know what he truly is. Instantly, she is transported into the Djinn's inner realm, a hellish dimension full of fire, tortured souls, and screaming spirits. The Djinn shows her his true demonic form, surrounded by countless captured souls writhing in torment. Horrified, Alex uses her second wish to return to her reality. She knows she only has one wish left, and that it must not be used carelessly. To gain advantage, she goes to Raymond Beaumont's lavish party, knowing the Djinn will follow her there. She hopes she can stop him without making her final wish. A security guard at the party stops Alex from entering when he notices she is clearly panicked and that the Djinn back in his human form is following her. He lets Alex inside and confronts the Djinn face to face. After a brief conversation with the Djinn, Johnny the security guard falls for the Djinn's verbal trap and unknowingly gives the demon what it wants. Johnny complains about how boring and repetitive his job is, saying he wishes to escape this dull routine. The Djinn twists that to lock Johnny not only in a straitjacket, but in a water tank, grimly sealing his fate. The Djinn enters the party. He convinces Beaumont to wish for the party to be unforgettable. Beaumont does so casually. The art pieces come alive and begin killing the guests. Statues start killing, marble sculptures sprout blades, paintings turn into portals of fire. The security guards are slaughtered. Beaumont himself is gruesomely killed by living art. Guests panic and die in horrific ways. Glass shatters into shrapnel. Abstract sculptures impale people. Animatronic figures come to life and dismember attendees. Amidst the chaos, Alex tries to protect her sister Shannon, who was also invited. The Djinn captures Shannon and traps her inside a burning painting, torturing her. He tells Alex that if she makes her third wish, the Djinn's army will be unleashed. Alex realizes she needs to use a paradox. She uses it cleverly, granting the Djinn a wish. She wishes that Mickey Torelli, the crane operator, had not been drunk on the day he unloaded Beaumont's statue. Even though the poster says Wes Craven presents, Wes Craven actually had almost nothing to do with making this movie. The studio originally wanted him to direct Wishmaster, but he was too busy working on Scream 2. So they basically just paid him to let them plaster his name on the marketing. It boosted ticket sales instantly because fans assumed it was a part of his filmography. Originally, the movie wasn't even called Wishmaster, it was just titled The Djinn. But in early test screenings, people kept mispronouncing it as Djinn or Djinn. The studio panicked and renamed it to something more audience-friendly. They also forced the marketing team to highlight all the horror legend cameos because they figured that would get horror fans in seats faster than the actual plot. Fun fact, the director Robert Kurtzman, who is actually one of the founders of K&B Effects, the guys behind Evil Dead 2, From Dusk Till Dawn, The Walking Dead, you name it, had to play a background extra just to fill out the warehouse scene. They were filming fast and cheap, so he literally threw on a hard hat and carried boxes in his own movie, just to save time and money. You could say this movie was made by people who love horror so much they were basically working every position on set just to pull it off. Instantly, reality rewinds to 2 days prior. Mickey is sober and handles the crate correctly. The statue is never dropped. The fire opal never breaks. The Djinn remains trapped inside, never released, and none of the horrifying events unfold. The timeline resets. Alex sees her friend Josh, alive and unharmed, working in the lab. Life returns to normal, and Alex feels relieved. In Beaumont's warehouse, the intact statue remains as it was before. Within the fire opal, deep inside, the Djinn is imprisoned, looking angry and waiting to be freed again. The story ends with the implication that sooner or later, another person will free the Djinn, starting the vicious cycle all over again. Overall, Wishmaster is a really interesting watch. It definitely drags at a few points, especially during those long, dialogue-heavy exposition scenes where characters are just dumping lore about the Djinn. Some of that stuff slows the pacing way down. What really made it work for me were the practical effects and the gore. The kills are creative, nasty, and super fun to look forward to, because the whole gimmick of be careful what you wish for never gets old. That anticipation of how someone's wish is going to be twisted and used against them is what keeps the movie entertaining even when the plot stalls. It's just a really fun concept, and they delivered on it. If you crave more info on this movie or others in the Wishmaster franchise, Dead Meat does a great breakdown, and James and the crew are good people. If you haven't, check them out. Thanks so much for watching, and a special thank you to the channel members. Whether you're a member or not, you guys make this possible, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Take care, have a great week, and I wish to see you in the next one.